Have you ever felt like a prisoner of your own emotions? That wave of anger that made you say things you instantly regretted? That paralyzing fear that stopped you from taking a life-changing opportunity? That crushing sadness that colored your entire world gray for days or weeks? You are not alone. And you are not powerless. What if I told you that the greatest masters of the mind discovered a truth so simple, yet so profound that it can transform your emotional life forever? Their secret wasn't suppression. It wasn't positive thinking. It wasn't even meditation, though that helps. Their discovery was this: before you can master any emotion, you must first see it clearly. It sounds too simple, doesn't it? But think about it. How can you possibly control something you can't even see? How can you transform what you refuse to acknowledge? In the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you the first and most crucial step toward emotional freedom, a step that many people never take their entire lives. Master this, and you'll never be ambushed by your emotions again. Ignore it, and you'll continue to wonder why happiness seems so fleeting and emotional pain so persistent. Are you ready to finally see what's been controlling you from the shadows? Then lean in close. Your journey to emotional mastery begins now. Watch your emotions as you would watch clouds passing in the sky, the teacher advised Akira during their first lesson. As they sat on a hillside overlooking the city, the teacher pointed up at the vast blue expanse above them. See how each cloud forms, changes shape, and eventually dissolves? Your emotions are just like these clouds. Akira gazed upward, noticing how some clouds were dark and heavy, others light and wispy. Some moved quickly across the sky, while others seemed to barely move at all. Yet all of them, without exception, eventually changed or disappeared completely. We suffer because we believe our emotions are solid and permanent, the teacher continued. We say, "I am angry," or "I am sad," as if these feelings define our entire being. But look closely, and you'll see that every emotion, whether pleasant or painful, comes into existence, stays for a while, and then passes away. Over the following weeks, Akira practiced this simple yet profound observation. He noticed how his morning irritation would fade by lunchtime, how his anxiety about a meeting would dissolve once it was over, how even his deepest sadness would eventually soften around the edges. He began to understand that no emotion, no matter how intense, lasted forever. This insight didn't make his feelings disappear, but it did change his relationship with them. They were weather patterns moving through the sky of his awareness, not the sky itself. Now that you see how emotions come and go, the teacher said during their next meeting, you must learn to watch them without getting tangled in stories about them. Akira frowned. What do you mean by stories? When an emotion arises, we quickly label it as good or bad, right or wrong. Then we create elaborate narratives about what the emotion means about us or others. These judgments and stories are what transform a simple feeling into suffering. The teacher handed Akira a smooth stone. For the next week, carry this in your pocket. Whenever you notice a strong emotion, hold this stone and simply name the feeling. Anger, joy, fear, excitement. Don't add "this is bad" or "I shouldn't feel this." Just observe the pure emotion, as if you're a scientist studying an interesting phenomenon. This practice proved challenging for Akira. When irritation arose as someone cut in front of him in line, his mind immediately wanted to justify his anger, to explain why the other person was wrong and he was right. But slowly, he learned to step back and simply note, irritation is present now. This simple act of witnessing without judgment created a small but crucial space between him and his emotional reactions. Your body always knows what you're feeling, often before your mind does, the teacher explained as they walked slowly through a garden. Each emotion has its own physical signature. The teacher asked Akira to close his eyes and recall a recent moment of anger. Where do you feel it in your body? What sensations arise? Akira noticed the tightness in his jaw, the heat rising to his face, the tension in his shoulders. When they explored anxiety, he felt the flutter in his stomach, the shallowness of his breath. Joy brought a lightness to his chest, while sadness created a heaviness there. Your body is your most honest emotional messenger, the teacher said. While your mind might deny or rationalize feelings, your body simply expresses them. By tuning into these physical signals, you gain an early warning system for your emotional states. Akira began checking in with his body several times throughout the day. He noticed how tension in his neck often preceded irritability, how a sunken feeling in his chest signaled the beginning of sadness. This bodily awareness gave him valuable information about his emotional state, often before it fully bloomed into a reaction he might later regret. One afternoon, as Akira described an argument with a colleague that had left him fuming for days, the teacher asked, "What exactly was injured in this interaction?" Akira thought for a moment. "My pride, I suppose. My sense that I should be treated with more respect." The teacher nodded. "You've discovered something important. Many of our strongest emotional reactions happen when our sense of self, our ego, feels threatened or diminished." The teacher drew a circle in the dirt. This circle represents your identity, all the stories you tell about who you are, what you deserve, how others should treat you. When reality doesn't match these stories, emotional suffering follows. Over time, Akira began to notice how many of his emotional storms were triggered when his self-image was challenged. When someone criticized his work, when he made a mistake in front of others, when he compared himself unfavorably to peers, these were moments when his emotions flared most intensely. By recognizing the ego's involvement in his emotional reactions, he could see more clearly why certain situations triggered him so powerfully. "Now that you're becoming more aware of your emotions," the teacher said, "it's time to map your triggers, the situations, thoughts, or interactions that consistently spark strong emotional responses." The teacher gave Akira a small notebook. For 2 weeks, whenever you experience a strong emotion, write down what was happening just before it arose. Look for patterns. Akira diligently recorded his observations. He noticed that checking work emails first thing in the morning often led to anxiety that colored his entire day. Conversations with his older brother frequently triggered feelings of inadequacy. Certain topics reliably provoked defensiveness. Your triggers are not random, the teacher explained when they reviewed Akira's notes. They're connected to your past experiences, your values, and your unmet needs. By mapping them, you gain power over them. You can prepare for situations you know might be challenging, or even avoid some triggers until you're ready to work with them more directly. This mapping exercise gave Akira practical insight into the predictable nature of many of his emotional reactions. It allowed him to navigate his day with greater awareness of the emotional terrain ahead. The final aspect of recognition is developing a regular practice of looking inward, the teacher said, as their work on the first stage of emotional control neared its completion. Set aside time each day to ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What thoughts are present? What needs might be behind these feelings? Do this not with harsh self-criticism, but with the kind curiosity you would offer a child or a dear friend. Akira established a simple routine of checking in with himself each morning and evening. Sometimes he would write in a journal. Other times he would simply sit quietly and scan his emotional landscape. This practice of self-examination, done with kindness rather than judgment, gradually became a natural part of his day. Recognition is not about fixing or changing your emotions, the teacher reminded him. It's about seeing them clearly, understanding their nature, and learning their language. This clear seeing is the foundation upon which all emotional wisdom is built. Now that you can recognize your emotions, you need something to hold on to when emotional storms threaten to sweep you away. Every sailor knows that when waves crash against their boat, an anchor keeps them from drifting into dangerous waters. For your emotional journey, that anchor is your breath. The breath is always with you, flowing in and out like the tide. When emotions grow strong, this constant companion becomes your most reliable friend. Try this right now. Close your eyes and take 3 slow breaths. Feel the air entering your nostrils, filling your lungs, and then flowing out again. Nothing fancy, just simple awareness of this natural rhythm that has been with you since birth. This practice has a special name in ancient traditions: mindfulness of breathing. It sounds simple, almost too simple, but don't be fooled. In this simplicity lies incredible power. When you focus on your breath, you automatically bring yourself back to the present moment, not caught in regrets about the past or worries about the future. Just here, now, breathing. The beauty of this practice is that it requires no special equipment, no special place, no special time. Your breath is always available, waiting to be your anchor whenever emotions threaten to overwhelm you. Different emotional states call for different ways of breathing. Think of these techniques as having special keys for different locks. When anger burns hot within you, cooling breaths can help. Breathing in through the nose for 4 counts, then out through the mouth for 6, as if gently blowing on hot soup. This longer exhale naturally activates the calming part of your nervous system. For anxiety that makes your heart race, try square breathing. In for 4 counts, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. This creates a sense of order and control when your thoughts are spinning out of control. When sadness weighs heavy on your heart, deep belly breathing brings comfort. Place a hand on your stomach and feel it rise and fall, reminding you that even in sorrow, life continues its rhythm. These techniques aren't magic spells that make emotions disappear. Rather, they're tools that help you ride emotional waves without drowning in them. Your body is always in the present moment, even when your mind wanders. This makes it a perfect anchor when emotions pull you away from now. Try this grounding practice. Feel your feet touching the floor. Notice the weight of your body pressing down. Feel the texture of your clothing against your skin. These physical sensations pull you back from the stories in your head to the reality of the present. When emotions run high, scan your body from head to toe, noticing sensations without judgment. This simple act shifts attention from emotional turbulence to bodily awareness, creating space around difficult feelings. Remember how we talked about emotions having physical signatures? This practice helps you stay with those sensations directly, rather than getting caught in the mental stories that amplify them. In everyday life, things happen and we react, often automatically, without choosing our response. But hidden between what happens to us and how we respond lies a tiny space of freedom. With practice, this space can grow. When someone says something hurtful, instead of immediately lashing back, you can take a breath. In that brief pause lies your power to choose a response rather than react on autopilot. This pause doesn't need to be long. Just a single conscious breath can be enough to break the chain of automatic reaction. In that small moment, you reclaim your freedom to respond with wisdom rather than react from conditioning. As you practice this pause throughout your day, you'll find yourself less often saying, "I don't know what came over me," or "I couldn't help myself." Instead, you become the author of your actions, not their victim. Movement can also be an anchor for presence. Walking meditation brings awareness to an activity we usually do on autopilot. Feel your heel touch the ground, then the middle of your foot, then your toes. Notice the shifting of weight, the subtle movements that keep you balanced. Walk slowly at first, fully experiencing each step as if it were your first. This practice is especially helpful for restless emotions that make sitting still difficult. When anxiety creates a jittery need to move, walking meditation harnesses that energy while keeping you present. You can practice this anywhere, walking to your car, moving between rooms in your house, or strolling through a park. Each step becomes an opportunity to return to now, to step out of emotional storytelling and into direct experience. The world around you offers constant invitations to presence through sound. The singing of birds, the rustle of leaves, the hum of a refrigerator. When noticed with full attention, these everyday sounds can pull you back from emotional turbulence. Try this. For just 1 minute, close your eyes and listen to the sounds around you without labeling or judging them. Just pure listening. Notice how this simple act quiets the mind and brings you back to the present moment. In some traditions, people use special sounds or phrases repeated rhythmically to focus the mind. These sound anchors work like training wheels for attention, giving the mind something to hold on to when emotions scatter your focus. Even in the busiest environment, moments of self-created silence can be found. A brief pause before responding. A moment with eyes closed before starting a task. These tiny islands of quiet refresh your spirit and strengthen your present moment awareness. Now that you've learned to recognize your emotions and stay present with them through your breath, it's time to explore a powerful force that can transform even the most difficult feelings. This force is compassion, a warm, friendly attitude toward yourself and others, especially during times of struggle. Imagine you're walking down a street and see a small child fall and begin to cry. Naturally, your heart opens. You want to help, to ease their pain. This spontaneous wish for another's well-being is the seed of loving kindness. Now imagine bringing that same warm, caring attitude toward yourself when you're struggling with difficult emotions. Strange, isn't it? Many of us find it easier to be kind to strangers than to ourselves. Try this simple practice. Place a hand over your heart and silently say to yourself, "May I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I be free from suffering." Feel the warmth of your hand against your chest as you offer these good wishes to yourself. This isn't about forcing positive thinking or pushing away negative emotions. It's about holding your emotional pain in a friendly, caring awareness. Like sunshine melting ice, this warmth of heart gradually softens even the hardest feelings. When emotions overwhelm us, our inner voice often turns harsh. You shouldn't feel this way. Pull yourself together. What's wrong with you? This inner critic only adds suffering to our already difficult experience. What if, instead, you spoke to yourself as you would to a dear friend in pain? This is really hard right now. It's natural to feel this way. How can I support myself through this? Self-compassion doesn't mean pitying yourself or wallowing in emotion. It means acknowledging your pain with kindness and understanding that suffering is part of being human. Everyone struggles. Everyone fails. Everyone feels lost at times. Next time you make a mistake or face disappointment, try placing your hands on your heart, taking a deep breath and saying, "This hurts and that's okay. I'm human and humans struggle sometimes. How can I be kind to myself right now?" Some emotions feel too heavy to carry alone. Deep grief, intense fear, burning anger. In these moments, remember that millions of others have felt exactly what you're feeling. Try this powerful practice. As you breathe in, imagine taking in the suffering of all beings who feel the same emotion you're experiencing right now. As you breathe out, send relief and kindness to them all. I'm not alone in this feeling. Many others know this same pain. This practice transforms isolation into connection. The heavy weight you thought was yours alone becomes lighter when shared with the understanding that your experience is part of the wider human story. When your own heart feels too closed or wounded to practice this way, begin by imaging someone who deeply cares for you, sending you strength and comfort. Receive their care with each in-breath, and with each out-breath, allow yourself to rest in their kindness. Look closely at any emotion, and you'll find connections to other lives. Your anger might be triggered by someone's words, but their words were shaped by their own struggles. Your joy might come from a beautiful sunset, made possible by countless conditions in nature. Every emotion exists within a vast web of relationships. When you see this clearly, it becomes harder to get caught in the story that your feelings are just yours or that you face them alone. Try looking at a difficult emotion and asking, who else might be feeling this right now? What conditions led to this feeling arising? This wider perspective doesn't dismiss your experience, but places it within the larger human story. This understanding naturally softens the heart. Your irritation with a store clerk transforms when you consider the difficult day they might be having. Your envy toward a successful friend shifts when you recognize their own hidden struggles. Some emotions stay locked in our hearts because we can't forgive, either others or ourselves. Forgiveness doesn't mean approving of harmful actions or denying pain. It means releasing the grip that resentment has on your heart. Forgiveness is not a one-time event, but a process that unfolds gradually. It begins with acknowledging the hurt. This pain is real. I honor what I've been through. Then, when you're ready, you can explore letting go. I'm willing to release this burden of resentment, not for the other person's sake, but for my own freedom. For self-forgiveness, try placing a hand on your heart and saying, I've carried this shame long enough. I acknowledge my mistake, and now I choose to begin again with kindness toward myself. Each time you practice forgiveness, even in small ways, you're training your heart to stay open instead of armoring itself with bitterness or shame. Compassion isn't just a soft, passive feeling. It's a strength that moves you to act. When you witness suffering in yourself or others, compassion asks, what can I do to help? This might mean setting healthy boundaries with someone whose behavior hurts you. It might mean reaching out to a friend who's struggling. For your own suffering, it might mean taking concrete steps toward healing, seeking support, changing harmful patterns, or simply giving yourself rest when you're exhausted. Compassion is wise. It sees clearly what's needed in each situation. Sometimes the kindest response is gentle acceptance. Other times, it's decisive action. With practice, you'll learn to hear what your suffering and others is truly asking for. Now that you've learned to recognize your emotions, anchor yourself in the present moment and approach your feelings with compassion. It's time to develop wisdom, the deep understanding of where emotions come from and how they operate in your life. Imagine your emotional life as a garden. Some plants grow there because you carefully planted and nurtured them. But what about the weeds that keep coming back no matter how often you pull them? These persistent emotional patterns often grow from 3 root causes. The first root is wanting, the endless craving for more. More pleasure, more approval, more control, more stuff. When this wanting takes over, it's like a hunger that can never be satisfied. You get what you want, feel happy for a short time, then start wanting something else. The second root is pushing away the constant rejection of what you don't like. Discomfort, criticism, uncertainty, loss. This aversion creates a life of endless struggle against reality, of fighting what simply is. The third root is confusion, not seeing things clearly, believing your thoughts without question, assuming permanence where there is change, mistaking what feels pleasant or unpleasant for what is truly good or bad for you. Look at any difficult emotion in your life, and you'll find at least one of these roots feeding it. Recognizing which root is active gives you the power to address the cause, not just the symptom. When facing difficult emotions, 4 simple truths can light your way forward. The first truth is that emotional suffering exists. This may seem obvious, but many people spend years denying their pain, covering it with distractions, or pretending everything is fine. Wisdom begins with honest acknowledgement. Yes, this hurts. The second truth is that suffering has causes. Your painful emotions don't appear randomly, they arise from specific conditions. Some of these conditions lie outside your control. but many come from within, from how you relate to your experience. The third truth is that freedom from unnecessary suffering is possible. Not because you can control what happens to you, but because you can learn to respond differently to what happens. Even amid life's inevitable challenges, a different kind of happiness becomes possible, one based on inner freedom rather than perfect circumstances. The fourth truth is that there is a path to this freedom. The very practices you're learning in these lessons, recognition, presence, compassion, wisdom, and daily integration, form a roadmap anyone can follow, step by step, toward emotional balance. Look back at your life and notice how your strongest emotions from 5 years ago, or even last month, have changed. The heartbreak that felt unbearable, the worry that kept you up all night, the excitement that made your heart race. Where are those intense feelings now? All emotions rise and fall like waves in the ocean. They may seem solid and permanent when you're in their grip, but given time, every feeling fades or transforms into something else. This doesn't mean your emotions aren't real or important. They're as real as the waves. But like waves, they're in constant motion, never staying the same from moment to moment. When you truly understand this, you stop taking your emotions so personally. You can honor their message without becoming trapped in their story. You can think, I'm experiencing anger right now, rather than I am angry. This small shift in perspective creates tremendous freedom. Who exactly gets angry, worried, or excited? When you look closely, you'll find that what you call yourself is actually a collection of changing experiences, thoughts, feelings, sensations, and perceptions that constantly flow and shift. Like a river that's never the same water twice, yet still called by one name, you are both continuous and constantly changing. Your emotions are part of this flow, not permanent features of a fixed self. This understanding loosens the grip of difficult emotions. When shame arises, instead of thinking, I am a shameful person, you can see it as shame is visiting right now. When pride swells, instead of believing, this is who I really am, you can recognize pride is flowing through right now. With this perspective, you can honor each emotion's wisdom without becoming trapped in its limited view. You remain spacious enough to hold any feeling without being defined by it. Your emotional habits didn't develop overnight. They formed gradually through countless repetitions, like water flowing over land, eventually carving a riverbed that then shapes where future raindrops flow. These emotional patterns begin forming in childhood as you learn what brings connection or protection in your particular family and culture. Some patterns served you well then, but may not help you now. Others may have developed from misunderstandings or as adaptations to difficult circumstances. Understanding your emotional patterns doesn't mean blaming yourself or others for them. It means seeing clearly how they formed and recognizing that new patterns can be created through mindful attention and practice. Each time you respond to a situation with awareness rather than autopilot, you're carving a new pathway. At first, this new path may feel faint and hard to follow, but with repetition, it gradually becomes the natural way your emotional energy flows. Some people believe controlling emotions means suppressing them, pushing them down, putting on a brave face, never letting others see what you really feel. Others swing to the opposite extreme, expressing every emotion explosively with no filter or consideration. The middle way avoids both these extremes. It's neither suppression nor indulgence, but a balanced approach that honors emotions without being controlled by them. This balanced expression means acknowledging your feelings honestly, understanding their message, and then choosing how to respond. Sometimes this means setting clear boundaries. Other times it means vulnerable sharing. Often it means taking time before reacting, so wisdom can guide your words and actions. The middle way doesn't look the same for everyone or every situation. A person who typically suppresses anger might need to practice more open expression. Someone who tends to explode might need to practice more restraint. The middle way is not a fixed point, but a dynamic balance that responds to what each moment truly needs. Understanding emotional wisdom is one thing. Living it every day is another. Now it's time to explore how to weave these teachings into the fabric of your daily life. The true power of emotional control comes not from occasional practice during crises, but from small, consistent actions that gradually transform how you relate to your feelings in everyday situations. The way you begin your day sets the tone for everything that follows. Think of your morning as planting seeds that will grow throughout your day. Instead of reaching for your phone the moment you wake up, try taking 3 mindful breaths. Feel your body lying in bed. Notice any emotions or thoughts already stirring within you. This simple pause creates space between sleep and the rush of daily activities. You might set an intention for how you want to relate to your emotions today. May I remember to pause before reacting? Or, may I treat myself with kindness when difficult feelings arise? This intention plants a seed in your mind that can flower later when you need it most. Some find it helpful to spend a few minutes in quiet reflection, perhaps sitting by a window with a cup of tea, allowing themselves to fully arrive in the new day before engaging with its demands. Others prefer to write briefly in a journal, noting how they're feeling and what they hope to bring to the day ahead. These rituals don't need to be elaborate or time-consuming. Even 1 minute of conscious attention as you begin your day can make a remarkable difference in how you experience your emotions as the hours unfold. Your day is filled with opportunities to practice presence. Opportunities often overlooked because they seem ordinary or unimportant. When you wash your hands, can you feel the sensation of water flowing over your skin? When you eat, can you taste the first 3 bites with full attention? When you walk from one room to another, can you feel your feet touching the ground? These brief moments of awareness scattered throughout your day strengthen your ability to stay present when strong emotions arise. They're like push-ups for your attention muscle. Try choosing one routine activity, brushing your teeth, waiting at a red light, or standing in line as your daily mindfulness reminder. Each time you do this activity, bring your full attention to it. Notice when your mind wanders and gently guide it back. These practices may seem too simple to make a difference, but don't be fooled. Just as drops of water eventually carve canyons in stone, these small moments of presence gradually transform your relationship with your emotions. How you speak and listen profoundly affects your emotional world and that of everyone around you. Conscious communication means bringing the same awareness you've been developing to your conversations and interactions. Before speaking, especially when emotions run high, pause and ask yourself 3 questions. Is what I'm about to say true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? This brief reflection can prevent words spoken in anger that you might later regret. Practice listening without planning your response while the other person is still talking. Feel what it's like to give someone your full attention, a rare and precious gift in today's distracted world. Notice how your body feels during difficult conversations. Is your jaw tight? Are your shoulders rising toward your ears? These physical signs can alert you to emotions brewing beneath the surface before they explode into words or actions you might regret. When strong emotions arise during a conversation, it's perfectly acceptable to say, "I need a moment to collect my thoughts," then take a few breaths before continuing. This small pause can be the difference between a conversation that strengthens understanding and one that deepens division. At day's end, a few minutes of reflection can help you learn from your emotional experiences. This doesn't need to be elaborate. Even a single sentence noting a challenging emotion and how you worked with it can be valuable. You might ask yourself, what emotion challenged me today? What triggered it? How did I respond? What might I try next time? This reflection isn't about judging yourself for emotional reactions, but about learning and growing from them. Some find it helpful to track patterns over time. I notice I feel irritable every day, around 3 p.m. Perhaps I need a short break then. Or, conversations with my colleague often leave me feeling insecure. What might be beneath that? Your journal becomes a map of your emotional territory, helping you navigate it with increasing skill. Over time, you'll notice patterns and triggers that once operated unconsciously, giving you new freedom to choose your responses. Writing even briefly about difficult emotions has been shown to help process and integrate them, reducing their intensity and making their wisdom more accessible. The path of emotional wisdom is challenging to walk alone. Surrounding yourself with people who support your growth creates a container that holds you when individual practice feels difficult. This might be friends with whom you can speak honestly about your emotional struggles without fear of judgment. It might be a formal group that meets to discuss and practice these principles together. It might even be online communities where people share their experiences with emotional awareness. When you share your journey with others, you gain new perspectives on your challenges. You realize you're not alone in your struggles. You're inspired by others' successes and learn from their setbacks. Supporting others in their emotional growth also deepens your own understanding. Often, the wisdom you need is precisely the wisdom you offer to a friend facing similar challenges. Look for people who can both challenge and encourage you. Those who will compassionately point out when you're caught in old patterns, but also celebrate your moments of growth and insight. As your day draws to a close, a brief review helps integrate the experiences and lessons of the past hours. Like closing the cover of a book you've been reading, this practice gives a sense of completion to your day. Sit quietly for a few moments and scan the day from morning to evening, noting moments of emotional awareness as well as times you were caught in reactivity. Remember that both are valuable teachers. Acknowledge small victories. The pause you took before responding to criticism, the moment you noticed sadness and met it with kindness, the irritation you felt but didn't act upon. These seemingly minor achievements are the building blocks of emotional mastery. If there were challenging moments where you lost emotional balance, view them with compassion rather than criticism. Each stumble is an opportunity to learn and grow stronger. Some find it helpful to briefly plan how they might handle similar situations tomorrow, planting seeds for more skillful responses. Others prefer to simply rest in the awareness that each day brings new opportunities for practice. Let your final thoughts before sleep be ones of kindness toward yourself and others, creating a peaceful transition into rest that will support tomorrow's practice. And so our journey through emotional wisdom comes to an end, at least for today. We've explored how to recognize our emotions, anchor ourselves in the present moment through breath, transform difficult feelings with compassion, understand the roots of our emotional patterns, and integrate these practices into daily life. But this is really just the beginning. True emotional mastery isn't something that happens in a single video or even in a month of practice. It unfolds gradually as you apply these teachings in your everyday experiences. The path we've explored together is ancient, tested by countless practitioners over thousands of years. Yet it remains as relevant today as it was when first discovered. In our fast-paced, often overwhelming world, the ability to work skillfully with emotions may be more valuable than ever before. If you found value in these teachings, I invite you to become part of our community. Subscribe to this channel to continue learning practical wisdom that can transform your relationship with emotions and with life itself. Each week, we explore another aspect of this timeless path of awareness and freedom. And if you know someone who might benefit from these teachings, perhaps a friend struggling with anger, a family member caught in anxiety, or a colleague overwhelmed by stress, please share this video with them. The simple act of sharing might be exactly what they need right now to begin their own journey toward emotional freedom. Thank you for your attention and presence. Until next time, May you meet each emotion with awareness, breath, compassion, and wisdom. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration of timeless wisdom for modern life.